One of the biggest questions when it comes to the next Cyberpunk game is how they will handle the events of 2077, assuming it takes place in the future and with Night City as the center stage. I'm going to be talking about the endings of the game here, so if you haven't finished the game or haven't done all the endings yet, you may want to get out of here. For the sake of this video, we'll assume that V kept their body and saved Takamura during the mission Search and Destroy. So the endings have a couple differences, such as the side character deaths, but the largest and most important thing is that in most endings Arasaka leaves the city, basically any ending where Yorinobu remains in control of the company. The only ending where this doesn't happen is the devil ending, where you make the deal with Hanako and she helps you raid Arasaka HQ. In this ending, Yorinobu ends up revealing he just wanted to free the world from the evil of his father, making him a somewhat secret good guy. Hanako then injects an engram of Saburo into Yorinobu's body, essentially bringing her father back to life. He resumes control of the company and Arasaka is set to prosper once again. While it may not be explicitly stated that Arasaka is always set to crumble, it's more or less confirmed with the Phantom Liberty ending. Spoiler alert once again. In this ending, known as the Tower, the NUSA successfully operates on V to remove the relic. V wakes up from a coma 2 years later and returns to Night City, during which you see that Militech has replaced Arasaka as the Corp with the largest presence in the city. Additionally, a credit message from Takamura explains what happened to him and Hanako. When you meet Hanako at Embers, she reveals her plan, which consists of staging a coup against Yorinobu. She wants V to tell the board members about Yorinobu killing Saburo. In the Sun ending, Don't Fear the Reaper ending, and the Tower ending, Hanako and Takamura push forward with this meeting without V. Yorinobu had previously made arrangements to execute the board members, and unfortunately his sister gets caught in the crossfire. Takamura is framed for her death and is forced into hiding. In this ending, V never attacked Arasaka HQ, which likely means that the same thing happens when V does raid the HQ without the help of Hanako, such as in the endings The Sun and Don't Fear the Reaper. The epilogue mission Path of Glory takes place a few months after the raid on Arasaka. In it, you can talk to Delamain, who confirms that Arasaka is crumbling.
Here's an item that might interest you. The Arasaka crisis continues. The corporation still teeters.
If you raid Arasaka with the Aldecaldos, Hanako is supposedly killed when Alt takes control of the tower.
Gentleman extraordinaire Yorinobu Arasaka confirmed that his sis, Hanako, was among the victims.
Then there's the fate of several side characters. Depending on the ending, some of them die, leave the city, or just continue to exist as they are. In the Aldecaldos ending, several of them die and then Pan Am and the rest leave the city. So in that case, they wouldn't be in the next game, although could easily be replaced by another Nomad clan. In the Sun ending, or the one where you go with Rogue, she dies, and as the best fixer in the city, her loss would likely be noticed, especially at the afterlife. At least in terms of lore and her occupation, it would make sense for her to still be around as long as she's still alive. Atom Smasher is also an optional death in most endings, although I think a majority of the players probably return him to the Earth. At the end of Don't Fear the Reaper and the Sun, you'll get the epilogue mission Path of Glory. It sees Mr. Blue Eyes and V working together on a very high-stakes career-defining job. Will they acknowledge this, especially if the Crystal Palace is featured in the next game? Then you have the characters from the Phantom Liberty story such as Songbird, Alex, and Reed. It's possible you'd never hear from any of them ever again, but will their fates be addressed? Some of them die depending on the choices V makes, and during the mission The Killing Moon, the NUSA starts a massive firefight at NCX Spaceport, which causes significant damage and casualties. Will that event be canonized? So ultimately, the question is, what will CDPR do? I think they have two options. The first is to canonize one of the endings. To me, that really only makes sense if they decide to continue V's story. Personally, I don't really care. There are some endings I don't like, but CDPR can tell whatever story they want to tell. Although I do think leaving things open-ended would probably sit better with players overall. That being said, in one of my other videos, I said that if they did canonize an ending, I think the most compelling choice would be sending Songbird to the moon, and then doing Don't Fear the Reaper, keeping V's body to end up with the Path of Glory epilogue. I really like the mystique behind Mr. Blue Eyes, and if they do continue V's story, I think a prologue mission of that Crystal Palace heist would be pretty sick. They could also do some partial canonization by doing things like confirming Smasher is dead, but not saying exactly how he died. The second option is to treat V's fate as a mystery. Since Arasaka bows out of the city in most endings, as long as they keep that, then all the endings where that happens would be possible. The only one they would have to de-canonize is the devil ending where you ask Hanako for help. Even the suicide ending would technically work, since it's basically the same as the tower ending in that V never raids Arasaka HQ. In this option, the game needs to be set a bit later than 2077 and have some characters leave or disappear from Night City. Their fates are determined by certain endings, so as long as they aren't present in the next game, then any of the endings would have theoretically been possible. As an example, let's say the Aldecaldos are present in the next game. That would basically confirm that, at the very least, the star ending is not canon, as the Aldecaldos left Night City in that ending. However, if the Aldecaldos are not present in the next game, then they did leave the city, which is possible under multiple endings. We can also look at Rogue. If they make it so she disappeared from the city, then it would allow for multiple endings to be possible. Maybe she died, or maybe she retired. Although, to be honest, the Sun is one ending I would be okay with them de-canonizing, since it's pretty much a worse version of Don't Fear the Reaper. Firstly, it puts Johnny in V's body when you enter Mikoshi, and if you have Johnny keep V's body, it sours the relationship between them. I think it's better to have V in the driver's seat to determine what happens to their body. Secondly, you get the exact same epilogue mission as Don't Fear the Reaper, but Rogue is dead. For the people of Night City, the events involving V will likely be uncommon knowledge. From V's perspective and as the player, the raid on Arasaka HQ is a crazy event, no matter which path you go down to get to it, but to a random guy, he might not even know about it. All he'll likely know is that there was some kind of disturbance at Arasaka HQ, and then at some point, they left the city. It's sorta similar to how the events of Edge Runners didn't really affect the city at all, despite how grand the story felt. It only took place a year earlier, and it was buried so hard that even Corpo V that worked in Arasaka Counter Intel didn't know about it. For the few characters that do know, such as Mercs and Fixers, they could have them acknowledge the different endings as what they heard. So basically, they all know that something went down, but the actual details are essentially rumors. So yeah, that's about it. What do you think CDPR should do? Should they canonize an ending, or should V's fate be a mystery? Should V's story continue, or is it time for a new player character? Will the upcoming animated show answer some of these questions? Comment below, and hopefully we find out within the next decade. That does it for this video. Thanks for watching.
Good night, Vincent. Today was a good day.